I'm not the brains of this outfit, of the people that are speaking today. I'm really the catalyst. I sort of prod people along, and as a result, we have what we have today. Here's how it happened. I'm a creation care person. I'm very interested in reducing the carbon footprint. I'm very interested in writing a paper about Trinity's ecological history. So I wanted to know what was the relationship between the religious leaders of the community generally, but of Trinity in particular, to the economic history that would allow real participation in the economy. So I was chugging along with my paper, and I wrote, everything was going very smoothly. Shan was offering a lot of documents, and I was writing like crazy, and I came to 1851, a stopping place. My difficulty was Moses Strong and Father Phelps, Josiah Phelps, who became rector in 1851. Suddenly, Father Phelps was living at a house on Maiden Street. How did that happen? Did Moses Strong donate that house? Did the church purchase a house? I can't think that they had any money. But the Minnow Point Archive did not have any information on that house. So we were both kind of staring at each other, and Shan suggested, let's go to the Trinity Archives. I, as a parishioner, went to the vestry and requested of the vestry that Shan and I be allowed to come in and start looking through the archives to see if we could answer the question. And the vestry deliberated for a long time, for quite a while actually, and they finally set some frame, a parameter on how this could work. Their concern was losing any of the papers that we had. They wanted to make sure that those papers were conserved in Trinity and that they didn't get out into the community. They didn't go to the Minnow Point Archive or to UW Archive. They wanted those to stay right here. That makes sense. One of the reasons that we have an archive, a good archive, is because of that point of view. Here's what we found. We found that the archives themselves were located in the furnace room in the basement of the church. And, you know, we got past all the tables and all the boxes and everything, and the door to the safe was open, but there was a noticeable mold odor. So, okay, first thing is get the archives, get those papers out of that safe and put them where? There's no place to put them. So we started working on the tables down in the hall. What we found, because the papers had been jammed in, was that there was no basic organization. There were little pieces of things organized. Several people in the history of the church from the 1840s to the present were interested in scrapbooking. So they had taken newspaper clippings and photographs and all kinds of documentations, the invoice for the organ, for example, and put them into scrapbooks, secured them with tape and secured them with glue. The archivist, Chan, was very concerned about this. First things first, we have to conserve these documents. I was more concerned with arranging. That became the second focus, is that how do we organize these papers so that we can get a chronological history, but we can get a financial history, we can get newspaper clippings, we can get photographs, history, all kinds of cultural things and internal things. But the thing that was interesting was that Chan so often commented as we were working and pulling out piles and piles of papers. She kept saying, I can't believe how extensive these documents are, how much you have, that you have saved, through the century. It's a wonderful collection. So the parameter was that Chan and I could work in the archives, work on the archives together, which is what we did. 3 to 4 hours a week for about a year and a half. We've taken this summer off, and we will get going again in the fall because we are not done. We have to develop an access ability. How does the parish get to use these archives? I didn't even know where they were. So within the parish, we need to read about our history. But within the community, the Mineral Point community, because Trinity figures large in that Mineral Point community, and within church history itself, the whole notion of the river parishes and how did they develop and what do they have to contribute to the Episcopal Diocese. I felt that access, aligning ourselves with the Mineral Point Library Archive and hooking that up meant that scholars, researchers could come in and really study early church history. That's important to me. I mean, the same principle that I'm writing a paper in my old age is the idea that we need access to information. And Trinity has that information, and it can be shared. It can be shared with a solid framework that allows us to maintain our documents, that allows someone in the parish to oversee the access, and it allows people from the outside to come in and pay attention to what the Episcopal Church has done. I mean, Bishop Kemper, for example, was here a lot in those years, in the 30s and 40s, and that's important information. We are very proud of Trinity. We love it for its beauty. I mentioned that. We love it for its history. We're happy that, you know, the big important people in Wisconsin were our original vestry members. But yet, to share anything more than a cursory understanding of that was not part of who we were. It is really important to pay attention to how things are stored, to pay attention to what's in the document, and to allocate funds to sustain those archives. It's important for everybody. When I mentioned that we had a question in 1851 about the financial package for a rector, that's the same situation that we were having here in 2022. It's the exact same situation. Where is that written about? I mean, and how was it solved? Well, you can understand the history and you can see that if things are organized and if things are easily accessible, you can get answers to the questions you have. It's the questions that are important because they drive you toward answers that might be true now, and then a little while later you'll discover something else. It's an interesting journey.